Welcome to the second hour of the Time Machine. This is your boy Jay Mace on WUAG 103.1 FM, playing the best of new and old school hip-hop, R&B, and everything else in between. But with me on the phone right now, I have Natalie Fernie, member of the 90s pop R&B girl group Good to Go. Natalie, welcome to the Time Machine.
I couldn't hear you. Broke up on.
Okay, I was saying welcome to the Time Machine. It's good to have you here.
Thank you. It's about time. It took a while.
Yeah, we finally got to it. You know, even though we've been talking for a while, we finally got that interview we've been talking about.
I said I was going to do it. I said I would, and so here I am.
And you are a woman of your word, and I appreciate that.
Thank you.
All right, so let's go ahead and get it started. Who were some of your musical influences growing up, and how did Good to Go come about?
Oh, wow. Well, I mean, I've been in a very diverse musical background. I mean, my dad's from Liverpool. I was born in London, but don't have the accent. So I've gone from anything from the Beatles to Aretha Franklin to the Rolling Stones to Whitney Houston. So I've had a very versatile upbringing in musical influence.
So tell me how Good to Go came about.
Good to Go. Well, I mean, you want the truth, or you want the documented version? No. I actually was five of us in Los Angeles, and I was the last member in, actually. There was actually somebody in before me, and they happened to not work out, so I kind of slipped in underneath them. But I used to frequent Los Angeles clubs all the time, and the co-management team at that time used to be club promoters, so it was a very small world back in the day. All the clubs were the same people would go there. So they had a deal, apparently, with a manager, Hiram Hicks, who at the time had Belle Biv DeVoe and Keith Sweat, I believe. He managed them. And they actually had a deal on the table if they could find this girl group. And so they wanted a five-girl, white girl, R&B singing group. So I used to go to the clubs. I knew some of the co-management team, and when it came about, and I was actually friends with one of them, they offered me the situation. They said, you know, we can audition. We have a slot for this group. Do you want to join? And I was like, sure. You know, I mean, I knew I could sing, but I wasn't doing it professionally or anything like that. And so I went and I auditioned, and when I auditioned, there was another girl there that was auditioning at the same time, and we had to kind of learn dance moves or whatever, and I got in. And so from that point, really, literally, it was a done deal. It happened really fast.
Okay. All right, and now that the group has formed, were there any other labels that were trying to sign you guys, or was Giant really the one that was having their eyes on you?
It was Giant, Warner Brothers. They had a deal for a group. At the time, the Good Girls were out, so that was like they were looking for something to rival them. So they wanted to have another girl group out. So Giant Warner Brothers was the ones that came to the table with a deal that was ready to go if they could get the girls. So.
And Giant at that time, blowing up, you had the New Jack City soundtrack with Christopher Williams, then Color Me Bad, Out the Box with I Want to Sex You Up. So get inside the Giant, and what was that process like after, you know, getting the deal and going to the studio and making the album?
Well, the producers we had had already had I Want to Sex You Up out. Actually, it was Dr. Freeze and Spider-Man had that single out on Color Me Bad, and they were already established, and they went platinum. So they were recruited to do our album once we signed. So pretty much once we signed, we went into the studio with them immediately. They were flown out from New York, and they played a bunch of tracks for us. The manager at the time also managed them as producers, so everything was put together. We had Herbie Lovebug with Salt and Pepper. We had a lot of different producers that they were trying to just gel together to make this hip-hop R&B album for us. So we went into the studio. After we signed, we were in the studio pretty quickly. I mean, and you're talking about before signing process, we were in garage studios, like, you know, on 8 tracks and you know, recording in small venues until we got into the studio and actually went, you know, 48 tracks and went big with it. So
that was a big step up. You're in the big leagues, and you're whisked away to the studio to record the album. And for those of you that don't know, Spider-Man and Freeze did the classic Poison joint for BBD.
Yes, they did. And actually, our first single was supposed to be very similar to that, but they changed it at the last minute. We had a song that was called Serious, and it sounded exactly pretty much like Poison, and the chorus was the same. It was like how Poison used to go, Poison. It was like serious, and they thought that that was going to be like too... They didn't want us to come out like that, so they pulled it. But we initially had a song that was very, very similar to that.
So was it Cassandra Mills' idea to have Never Satisfied be the debut single for you guys?
Yeah, hers and Hiram Hicks, they picked that. And actually that was done by Stanley Brown, who had done Christopher Williams' Don't Wake Me, I'm Dreaming on the New Jack City soundtrack. So you could see it was all like one family kind of thing.
And now, when that single took off, what was the reaction? Because it was like, okay, 5 white girls doing R&B, and some people like, okay, I can dig it, but everybody else kind of like, this kind of like some New Kids on the Block kind of thing.
Well, they were, the way they did it, the strategy was is that we were supposed, they promoted us with no pictures at first. So they released the single in urban charts before any of our photos were really released, and so when our song was released and heard, it was already liked. So by the time our faces hit, and by the time our video came, and by the time we did shows, you couldn't deny the fact that of who was singing. And at that point, it didn't really matter who was singing because the song was out. They played it. It went top 10 in Billboard, and it was liked already. So now it was just like putting the faces with the music and being like, oh, well, damn, they're white. You know, I think it was the funniest part was when we did Apollo, and nobody still really knew who we were because we went on a very low-key kind of underground tour, mostly urban and R&B, and we were singing R&B music, and we would go to all these R&B venues. But we did the Apollo, and literally when the curtains went up, you heard this gasp of like, like it was, they didn't know, they didn't realize, like, oh my goodness, you know, here, these are the girls that are singing this song. Oh wow, I like this joint. So it was something that was already, they knew the song, so they took kindly to us. So we were lucky for that. We were lucky.
And that was the one thing about music back in the 80s and the 90s, and probably not a lot now, but it was like back then, it was like synergy. You know, everybody was crossing over on different charts, Bobby Brown, New Kids, Paula Abdul, and it was a lot of love between a whole bunch of acts. Like you would run into them on a separate tour and hang out and say, hey, I like your album, and all that stuff. So it seemed like the whole New Jack vibe had a definite influence on you guys' sound.
Oh, yeah, it did. It did. I think we were right in the pocket when everything was like Jodeci, Mary J. Everybody was up and coming. I mean, when we were getting ready to finish our album, Mary J. Blige was just, you know, being shopped in the A&R department, where they were like, this artist is hot, you know, she's going to be big. I mean, so everybody kind of came up around the same time, and some like rose to superior levels and some fell off. I mean, but it was a small, tight group of people that you would always see at these shows. And it's funny when I look back, and it's like, oh God, I did a show with that person, or we were there at the same time. And you know, unfortunate that we didn't go as far, but we were there. We were there. So.
So what was the touring aspect like once Never Satisfied hit and it was a radio hit?
I'm sorry?
What was the touring aspect like, going around touring various venues and colleges and seeing the reaction of people of your overall appearance and sound?
Oh, it was great. I mean, at first, like I said, you know, the venues that we did, you know, they put us in predominantly urban situations. I mean, we did a show at Malcolm X Park with, like, Arrested Development. I mean, they put us on these shows where we were literally forced to, you know, they were forced to accept us if they liked the song. It didn't matter at that time. You know, we had it rough sometimes. You know, they didn't know what was going on. Like, who are these girls? And, oh, they're singing this. Well, we like the song, and they're singing the song, but they're still confused about looking at us. So we went on a lot of different shows and different things that we got all kinds. We always got a positive reaction, though. We didn't ever have a negative reaction. We had people that were like, oh my God, I didn't know it was you. I mean, you know, and we always kind of still shocked everybody every time we showed up. But we had a good time. We had a really good time.
And you guys did the mecca of all music shows, Soul Train, with Don Cornelius.
We did. I mean, you know, and we did the Apollo. We were one of the first white group acts that rocked the Apollo at that time.